Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. I'm going to wait for the chat room to fill up and give me a thumbs up. Let me know that everything is working. Perfect. Please let me know if the volume is up. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to give you guys a second to fill up the chat room. And then we're going to talk about Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. This is going to be a difficult one. Blachowicz. Pardon my pronunciation. Thank you, Breezy, my boy. Thank you, Ferdaz. Thank you very much, guys. What a fight. Incredible fight. Adesanya moves up from middleweight to challenge for the light heavyweight title. He's fighting Jan Blachowicz. And great fight. Listen, the early rounds were close, but I still gave them to Blachowicz. I gave, I think, one round. I had it 1-3 going into the fifth. Okay, 4 was definitely Blachowicz. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. He scored a beautiful double leg and just controlled the round on top. Round 5 ended really bad. Blachowicz graduated to mount. He went from full guard to half guard, from half guard to briefly side control, I believe, or straight to mount. I can't remember. And he starts raining down punches. Luckily for Adesanya, that bell rang. That horn sounded. Because when you're that much bigger than somebody, Blachowicz, much bigger than Adesanya in terms of weight, it would have been a nightmarish mount. Okay, it didn't look like Adesanya was going to be able to get out. It looked like if there was a little bit more time on that clock, Blachowicz was going to end the fight via TKO or knockout. What happened in the earlier rounds? The earlier rounds were closer. I gave one of the rounds to Adesanya, even though they were very close and hard to call. Ultimately, I felt that Blachowicz connected with a right hand in round 4, and that was the beginning of the end for Adesanya. I felt like Adesanya hit it well. He didn't show he was very hurt. However, I do believe that there were several right hands that landed that were very painful or very bothersome for Adesanya, but one particularly in the 4th. And when he connected with that right hand, that Polish power, it did not knock out Adesanya, no, but it buzzed him. It hurt him because the double leg defense was not there in round 4 and 5. Where it was there, his takedown defense seemed very strong rounds 1, 2, and 3. Even at one point, Blachowicz had the double underhooks, partial takedown. Adesanya gets up. It looked like the Adesanya we've seen in middleweight. He's very difficult to take down. He's very hard to control. But in round 4, when he was taken down, he didn't fight up to his feet. He didn't do much on the bottom. He even at one point was in half guard bottom and did not have his legs locked. Adesanya not locking his legs, it was making me think maybe he's a little bit dazed, or maybe he wants him to pass to side control. Sometimes fighters feel that if the guy's side control, I have a way to hold him that he won't hurt me. Half guard with MMA, okay, with strikes. Obviously in jiu-jitsu, I never want a guy on top of me in side control. I'd rather him be in my half guard 100 times out of 100. However, in MMA, sometimes the angle to punch from half guard is superior because you have that space you need to generate force with a punch. Whereas when you're side control, you're so connected, it's hard to create space for me to hit him without him shrimping up to an underhook, shrimping into an underhook, and then kind of getting to his knees to a single leg, which I don't think was Adesanya's plan. He didn't try the underhook and get to his knees. He didn't try to regard. He just kind of laid there and kind of was satisfied with letting the clock run out. That tells me that Adesanya was hurt in round 4. Now, there was some very nice left kicks landed by Blachowicz. Okay, now I don't want to make it sound like it was one-sided for those who didn't see the fight. The fight was very close. The first 3 rounds was very competitive. Very competitive. I just felt that even though Adesanya was maybe busier with fakes and feints and throwing volume, Blachowicz's shots counted for more. They connected more. He transferred more weight. It was just more powerful. And because there's no crowd, you can hear those shots. Watch that fight again. You hear the shots. Every time they hit each other, you hear that pop. Incredible amount of power being thrown by both men. Round 4, I saw a right hand from Blachowicz that I thought changed everything. And you could see it in Adesanya's reactions. When he got taken down, he wasn't fighting anymore. He was kind of just being happy to coast through the round. And in round 5, the takedown came even easier. There was almost no resistance whatsoever. There was no scrambling on the bottom. The fight was very close. Why was Adesanya not scrambling? I think he was overwhelmed. I think the right hand was too much. And if they're standing on their feet, he might eat another one. I think the safest path for him was to kind of stay on the floor and ride it out instead of getting badly hurt and kind of marking his career. You don't want to get a really bad beating that you never come back from it psychologically or physically. Blachowicz has a lot of power. He can do a lot of damage. I think Adesanya gave it his best shot, but after 3.5 rounds, so halfway through the 4th round, I would say Blachowicz showed him, look, you're not winning tonight, and if you keep trading with me, you will get hurt. I think that's what we saw that night. I think Adesanya was in trouble standing up, and it was particularly one right hand. Watch round 4 again. You'll notice that right hand. There's one right hand in particular that I think changed the demeanor of the whole fight. Okay, guys, with that said, I'm going to start answering your questions. Please, guys, let's keep it on topic, then we'll talk about anything. But right now, we're talking about one fight in particular, Adesanya versus Blachowicz. Let me know how you thought of what you guys saw. Lasagna got smashed. That's from Unknown. Well, I don't think he got smashed. Okay, he did a very good fight. And look, he has the guts, not only to fight MMA, but to move up a weight class. Listen, it took a lot of guts for him to do that. Adesanya probably walks around at 205. Now, he was fighting at 205. Think about it. He's fighting somebody 20, 30 pounds heavier at least. It's a major advantage. 10 pounds is a huge advantage in at this level of fighting. Now, I want to give a quick summary of Blachowicz's career, because this guy is an inspiration. He lost 4 out of 5 fights in UFC once upon a time. Okay, he lost 2 fights in a row twice. So he lost 2 fights, then he won 1 fight, then he lost 2 more fights. That's all in UFC. Okay, so out of 5 fights, he had lost 4 in the light heavyweight division. What did he do? He transformed himself, came back to be the champion, and now he's without a doubt the best European fighter, probably, I would say, ever. Okay, he changed his career around. He was about to get cut twice from UFC. What happened? He turned his career around and he made it to the top. And not only did he make it to the top, he beat one of the best pound-for-pound legends, a guy who's for sure going to be in the Hall of Fame, a guy who for sure is going to be in the greatest pound-for-pound discussion. The man with 100 fights. When he beat Paulo Costa in the fashion he beat Paulo Costa, that was his 100th fight. He had a flawless performance against a guy who's incredibly dangerous. Blachowicz has made some incredible gains in his career. He's had some downs, and he's turned those negatives into a positive. To me, I find that very inspirational. Coach, can you explain Jan's double in the 4th? It seemed like he just bent to the waist with no penetration step. Well, what he did was an inside double leg. His head was towards the inside. Usually some people refer to that as a Barzagar double. A famous Iranian wrestler, his name was Barzagar, and he used to do that. He used to grab a single leg, transfer from the single leg to the second leg without putting his head under your arm. So it's across your belly. George St. Pierre is very famous for this maneuver. Josh Koscheck was also an excellent double legger from the inside. Okay, so when you have a single leg, you turn it into a double, and you're kind of forcing your opponent into a cartwheel. It's a beautiful maneuver. Not a maneuver that I do personally. I feel that you have to have a lot of explosive power to get to that second leg and lift. But guys like George St. Pierre, Blachowicz, they have that power. Now, can Blachowicz do that to a guy like John Jones? I find it probably wouldn't work on a John Jones. Like, you got to have a certain amount of explosiveness and power. But he had that explosiveness and power compared to a Adesanya. Adesanya is a smaller guy. Like, I'll do Barzagar on smaller guys. Okay, so I feel that the Barzagar, that double leg he did, it's only like the elite athletes that do it. Now, I do a version where I kind of, from single leg, put my hip under your leg. I learned it from Gia Cesari, a world champion who does it more with it's a more finesse way, but it doesn't look the same. It's not as cool. You're not throwing the guy's legs up in the air. It's not as impressive. But I do it the poor man's way, or the weak man's way, the average Joe guy's way. And there's more leverage. It's less impressive when you see it. It still gets the job done. It gets the guy on the ground, saves you a bit of energy, and for me, I find it's more efficient. But that's what you saw, and he was done correctly. It was done correctly, in my opinion. He did it beautifully. Jan absorbed pressure well and capitalized on bad angles and weak feints of Adesanya. That's from BJ Penn. Okay, that's not the original BJ Penn. That's probably a fan who took his name. Or who knows, maybe there are 2 BJ Penns in the world. That is also possible. Did Jan absorb the pressure well? I would say yes. There was a lot of feints, and I think the feints were great. And I think Adesanya's volume was great. I think his shot selection was great. I think his defense was great. It just came down to how much effectiveness the shots were landing. I felt like Blachowicz can take more punishment from Adesanya. So when they were trading, even though it was very close early on, Adesanya was getting the worst of it. And in my opinion, it's because he's smaller. It's just not the same. When you're a bigger guy, it's not that necessarily you hit harder, but you're less shook. Generally speaking, you'll be less shook by the strikes. Okay, so you're more happy to exchange. You're more happy to go 1-for-1. You have a margin of error that's greater than the lighter guy, generally speaking. Okay, and now here's the other thing. Adesanya didn't seem like he can hurt Blachowicz. I'm sure he could, but it was much harder. Whereas you see him in the middleweight division, Adesanya, we all know he has an incredible left hook. That left hook it's incredible. He hit Blachowicz with it at least 4 times solid. Like really, he hit him more than 4 times with it, okay, for sure. But 4 times, they could have flattened many middleweights. But Blachowicz took it well. It was going to take a lot more than just that left hook. He was going to have to land it repeatedly. Whereas that left hook, it hurt Costa, it hurt Whitaker, guys with great chins, guys with a lot of power, guys who are great athletes. But Blachowicz is just, he's just really big. Why most long, lanky, flexible fighters can't defend takedowns well? That's from Barracuda Dish. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. You can be long and lanky and have incredible takedown defense. Look at John Jones. I mean, look at Adesanya's had a very, very good takedown defense. He just got taken down by a bigger, stronger guy. He's just look, Blachowicz is not the best wrestler. I would say pound for pound, if they were the same size, I think Adesanya would stop every takedown. I don't think the takedowns were a question of Adesanya being unable to stop the takedowns. I think it was the right hand that Blachowicz landed. It weakened Adesanya. It hurt him. I think it made him think twice about trading anymore. Like he was probably reaching his limits, in my opinion. That's what it looked like to me. I could be wrong. And I think most fighters wouldn't want to admit it, but it seemed to me like he wasn't defending. At least in the 5th round, there was no defense. Like he was not interested in getting back up to his feet, which Adesanya, we all know, has shown to be very good at getting back up to his feet. But he didn't seem to even want to look for it. Okay, guys, I know everybody wants to talk about the knee from Pietroyan and Sterling, but I will get to that after. Let's just finish up on this fight here. It's still, I think, a few more things we'd want to say about this fight. Guys, I know there's a few super chats, but please keep them on the fight, and I will get to open session later on, okay? No underhook from side control. That's from Redman. You're right. Adesanya didn't try to underhook. From side control bottom, he didn't seem interested in getting up. It seemed like he was locking his hands, trying to just stop the strikes from Blachowicz, and that was enough for him. That tells me you're hurt, in my opinion. That would make me think. If I was in his corner, I'd be thinking, look, he's hurt, and we got to work around it. Coach, what do you think Adesanya learned from this fight? That's from Euros. Well, you know what? I love how that some guys can make that matrix style work. Where you kind of lean back and you're doing like that weird, that crazy matrix where you're arching your back, and a lot of Thai guys do it to escape a kick. So if you throw a head kick, instead of blocking with their arms like a lot of European fighters, the Thais, what they do is they lean back, they arch, and they just let that kick fly by. Now Adesanya does that with punches too. So when you throw punches at him, he leans back, and he did it with Whitaker, and it works so well. And you could see that obviously it works really well for him because he has a freakish reach. If you don't have that freakish reach, when you lean back, you won't be able to hit your opponent in return. With Blachowicz, they had a comparable reach. So in a middleweight, Adesanya is enjoying the reach of a light heavyweight. But in the light heavyweight division, his reach, his matrix style, even though it didn't work as well as usual, right? Because Blachowicz is tall, and Blachowicz was throwing a lot of right cross, left jab down the middle. Instead of going 1-2, he was going right hand, and then instead of a hook, he was throwing a straight shot down the middle. And those combinations were working well. Then he'd follow up with a left kick to the body. So when you're leaning like that, you're doing that matrix lean, that left kick to the body hits that liver. And you could see Adesanya, I think he probably ate like 5 good left body kicks, which the left body kick's the one in the liver. So it can wear on that matrix style. Do you think Jan could have taking more risk on the ground to do more damage. That's from Lorenzo. Yeah, if you're that much bigger than the guy, you should smash through his guard. Like if that was like a GSP or a Khabib, because Blachowicz has improvements to make for certain. Because that half guard was there for the taking. Whenever you get your chest to somebody's chest and you have that underhook and crossface, like that's a prime position to mount, pass, smash, get to a crucifix from side control, wrap the guy's arms down and kind of like elbow him. There's so many things you can do. There's so many, you can go to arm triangles. There's just so much to do there. And he kind of hung around for minutes at a time, not really graduating to a new position, a more powerful position to get that finish. It was definitely, with that weight advantage, there was definitely a lot of opportunity to progress. There's no excuse why he shouldn't be. In my opinion, I think he should have been able to progress more than that. Has Izzy been exposed, coach, that he can only beat people that he has a longer reach than? Because Silva and Vittori had long reaches and Izzy didn't look as impressive. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's from Trick. I don't think so. I don't think he's been exposed in any way. I think you guys out there might be underestimating the difference in weight and what a difference that makes. Okay, it's a massive difference. Listen, it's a massive difference to go from one weight class to the other. It's a massive difference. It's a very dangerous thing. Now, with Adesanya fighting the greatest light heavyweight of all time, no, he wasn't. He was fighting an excellent light heavyweight, somebody who knocked out Reyes, somebody who, I don't think he would beat John Jones, to be honest with you, but somebody who would give John Jones a very, very good fight, okay, who could definitely win on a good night. He could even beat John Jones on a good night, but this will be very, very unlikely in my opinion. He fought a very, very well-prepared light heavyweight who's a legitimate world champion, and he did very well for the first 3 rounds. The last 2, I'll admit to you, things didn't go well for him. But it's not a question of him being a one-trick pony or being under-trained. Absolutely not. The guy's a phenomenal striker. He's a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. And he may end his career as the greatest middleweight of all time. This is still very likely for Adesanya. So, with that said, can he only beat guys with the shorter reaches? No, I wouldn't say that. Definitely not. But he's going to generally have the longer reach. That's why it's going to kind of seem like that. He fought Brunson, who has a very long reach, and that fight went extremely well for Adesanya. You mentioned also that he fought Silva. Well, I think, in the Anderson Silva fight, to be honest with you, I think he was showing Anderson Silva a lot of respect. I don't think he was trying to put Anderson Silva on a stretcher. I think Anderson Silva is kind of like a hero of his. I just felt that's what I was watching. Look, I might be totally wrong. I didn't listen to his pre-fight or post-fight interviews. He might hate Anderson Silva, which I didn't get the feeling that he did. I just think that he wasn't going for the kill. I think he was trying to win, but I don't think he wanted to harm his hero. That's the impression I got. I might be totally wrong, but seeing him fight, that's how I felt. Jan had the resurrection that George think he had, coach. Frank Martin. I don't know what that means. Jan had the resurrection that Jorge thinks he has. Oh, thinks he has. Jorge. You're talking about Jorge Masvidal. Listen, Jan's career is amazing. The fact that he almost got cut twice and then he came back to become world champion is amazing to me. Honestly, it's just phenomenal. Who is the higher pound for pound now? Adesanya or Usman? That's from Matthew Fawn. That's a tough one. I still say Adesanya. I'll tell you why. Because he's dominating his division, the middleweight division, like at a greater degree than Usman, in my opinion. Okay, Usman lost his first round against Burns. He lost rounds against Kobe Covington. So he's been losing rounds. Okay, he's been very dominant, but his last 2 fights he's lost some rounds, even though he's looked amazing in the later rounds. Adesanya didn't have that kind of run. Okay, his run has been more dominant in his division, and I would say his division it's just a stacked. Okay, both divisions are super stacked. Thoughts on judging? I personally have no clue where they got 10-8 from. That's from Yao Ming. I didn't look at the judging, but I assume probably the fifth round. The fifth round could have been a 10-8, no doubt. I don't think that's too far because they said they're going to give more 10-8s. If we're talking about the new rules, they had these things. They say, okay, from now on, we're going to give more 10-8s. I think this should be 0.5. So it should be 8.5 because 0.5 can make a difference. They had that once upon a time in kickboxing and it made sense. I actually wish they would undo that all completely and just score the fight as one round like they did in Pride. That was the best. I thought that was the best judging at all. Don't worry about the points. Go out there and fight, man. You can win the whole thing in the final quarter. We don't care. We just want to see who do we think is the better fighter, who got the best out of the total minutes. Because sometimes the way you add the points just doesn't make sense at the end. Like you might beat me by a hair in round 1. You beat me by a hair in round 2. And then by round 3, I figured you out. And I almost put you out on a stretcher and I almost finished you. But the time ended. You're hanging by a thread and you win. That makes no sense. Why? Because you won the first 2 rounds by a hair. It's like, that's how the game is calculated. Well, that doesn't mean you were the better fighter. It just took me some time to figure you out. Now I found one of your weaknesses and I'm exposing it now. And in my opinion, it makes for more exciting fights because people keep fighting the whole way. They don't bank in 2 rounds that kind of coast. No, they know that they could lose everything in the third, so they keep fighting. So I feel that was one of the major components that made Pride fights so exciting, so amazing. For those who remember the Pride days, they were very special. Coach, what do you think about that? Oh, I did that one. Izzy was very nervous as well. That's from Jessica Jones. He might have been. I don't know if he said that on his interviews, but he might have been because he's fighting a very dangerous heavyweight, light heavyweight. Listen, Blachowicz has flattened guys, man. He's got incredible power. He's the type of guy that if you make one mistake, he could really ruin your career. He can harm your health. It's a very serious thing. Why were so many people overlooking Jan? That's from Billy Boy. Well, you know why, Billy Boy? I'll tell you why. Because he has 8 losses on his record. And I'm not saying that to put him down. I'm just saying that a lot of times when you get to the elite, they don't have that many losses on their record. It's actually quite rare unless they're very late into their career. Now, this guy's the champ and he's got 8 losses on his record. How's that? Like there's 8 different ways to beat him at least. And he had a losing streak. He's had like out of 5 fights, he's lost 4. So, like you start believing he's got to have weaknesses if he has that many losses. It's just that a light heavyweight, it's not as bad. It's not as volatile as heavyweight, but the man made some changes. The man turned things around and he figured things out. So I think that people still see that on his record. They don't see the fact that the man's a different fighter than what he was when he lost those fights. He's a very different fighter. Okay, guys, I'm just taking questions on the Adesanya Blachowicz fight, and then after that, we can open it up to the other fights. So I know you guys are asking me about a bunch of other fights, but I just want to make sure that we go through this fight thoroughly. Does Till win against Izzy? That's from Hurey Hamid. No, I don't think so, to be honest. I think Adesanya would have his way. I think he would be able to get that win. Guys, quick shout out to TimTam.tech, the world's best deep tissue therapy device, the world's best massager. Check out jujiclub.com. I have my new guard retention video. Put in promo code GUARD5. It's on your screen. Check it out. There's a link in the description. Make sure you check out my latest instructional. You will enjoy it. I promise you. Are you ready for Crypto Bull Run? That's from Dofi. Dofi, bring that up later. Okay? We're just still wrapping up Adesanya versus Blachowicz. What else we got here? Blachowicz versus Henry Cejudo. That would be a good fight. That's a tough one. Got my mini massager yesterday. Thanks, coach. That's from Bobby. Bobby, you're the man. Yes, Tim Tam has now made a super powerful mini massager. Check it out. I use it all the time on my travels, and it is amazing. What else we got here? Okay, what else we got? All right. What else we got here? Okay, guys. I think we've done this fight. I think it's a wrap. It was a good fight. It was a tough fight. all the way up to 4-5, and then 4-5, Blachowicz just took over. I think that we can all agree on that. There's no doubt who won that fight. And Adesanya is, in my opinion, going to go back to 185. He's going to do amazing at 185. People are going to sing his praises for a long time. But for now, it's Blachowicz's turn. He's in the limelight, and congratulations to him. Okay, guys, with that said, let's talk about any other fight. I'm assuming you guys want to talk about the Pietroyan versus Algerman Sterling. Listen, it was a great fight. I thought, like everybody else out there, Jan was running away with it. He didn't need to throw that illegal knee. It was probably in the heat of the moment. I don't know what his explanation was for it. He probably was just in fight mode, heat of the battle, wasn't thinking straight, threw an illegal knee. The knee was 100% illegal. Why would he do that? He's on his way to win. Like the fight was going his way. Even though from round one, he had dropped Sterling. Like he had stunned him with a beautiful shot. And like from round one to round four, things were going his way. He had a round and a half left, and he was banking in the fight. Okay? And he had no reason to throw that knee. Now, he threw the knee. It was 100% illegal. And now everybody's on Algerman Sterling. You faked it. Well, I'll tell you guys something, okay? When you're not expecting to get hit, it's way worse than if you get hit and you're expecting it. This is for sure 100% true what I'm telling you, okay? It's 100% true. He got hit, he went down, and now we have to give him the benefit of the doubt that that knee was too much for him to recover from. Did he want to become world champion that way? I don't think so. I don't think anybody would want to become world champion that way. I personally would not, okay? I don't think he knew he was going to become world champion. I think he thought, hey, it's going to be a no contest. Or he probably didn't even know what the rules are. I bet you if you ask 100 fighters in UFC, what happens in this particular situation? You're in 4 rounds, you get kneed illegally and you can't continue. What happens? Some are going to tell you, oh, it's a no contest. Some are going to tell you, oh, it's the guy who got hit that won. Some in boxing, they go to the judges card. If there's like sometimes in your contract, if you get past 8 rounds and then there's an illegal headbutt and a cut happens and the fight can't continue due to an illegal accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards. And again, these things are all contractual. You can change them in boxing. And in MMA, if you ask me what's the rule, I personally would tell you, oh, it's going to be a no contest. I didn't know that the guy getting kneed is going to get the belt. I personally didn't know that. So I doubt Algerman Sterling thought that. I think he thought, look, I cannot continue. Why would I give this guy a chance to finish me when I was likely on my way to a decision? Now I'm really hurt. I'm going to give this guy a chance to finish me. Now, if Algerman Sterling knew that, hey, if I stay down, I'm going to get this title. Well, think about it. He's going to make a lot more money for that fight and for his next fight, because the next fight he's defending his title. So he's going to be making pay-per-view. He's going to be making money. It's going to be quite a temptation. Now, I'm not saying he was thinking about that. I'm just saying here are the possibilities. Did he know he would become world champion? I doubt it. Most fight I didn't even know, and I've been cage side for a million fights. You know, like I didn't know in that circumstance he gets the title. I thought it was just a no contest. What happened? He got kneed. He felt he can't continue. What I didn't like, what I don't like, is they were asking him, do you want to continue? I hate that, okay? Because then you put this fighter in an impossible situation. If he says yes, he wants to continue, but he's legitimately hurt. For those of you who've never been concussed, it's a serious thing. It's a very serious thing. If you're fighting and you get concussed and we stop the action, your adrenaline goes down, it's worse. It's way worse. If you're concussed from a knee, or maybe his orbital bone, or whatever part of his body was hurting, and you stop the action, guess what? It hurts a lot more. You should never ask the fighter. You should test the fighter. I feel that the state needs to bring the doctor. The doctor has to evaluate him, and the doctor should tell us whether the man continues or not. I hate the fact that they put it on the fighter. Why? Because the fighter has to choose between his health and this blowback. So Algerman Sterling, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He chose his health. And now look at all this blowback he's getting. Oh, you should have continued. You're fake. Listen, I want you guys to get down on one knee and let me knee you in the face, okay? Let me knee you in the face. And then talk to me about you want to continue fighting. You're going to be like, hey, wait a second. It's a whole new perspective. I never thought about it this way. I just got kneed in the face illegally. I wasn't waiting for it. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting guillotines, punches, uppercut, whatever it may be. But the guy's not allowed to knee me. I'm trained to respond in this scenario in this particular way. And the guy broke the rules and injured him. He injured Algerman Sterling. In my opinion, give him the benefit of the doubt. The guy's world champion. I don't think, personally, I would have preferred that they call it a no contest or they go to the scorecard. But he should get paid for taking that knee. Like Algerman Sterling should get the purse, like if he won, but he shouldn't get the belt because he didn't win the fight. The belt is like, okay, you won the fight. The purse is, look, I could have won the fight. You owe me that money that I could have possibly made. You took that chance for me to win that money. You also took the chance for me getting that belt. But in my opinion, that belt is something. It's more prestige than anything else. It's more. But at the end of the day, shouldn't the guy have the chance to make that bread and butter, that money that he could have possibly earned? Yes, I think if you win by an illegal knee or something like that, the guy should get the win purse and you should pay for it. Like, it should come out of your win section because you shouldn't be able to win. Because if we reward people for anything, obviously everybody's gonna start throwing illegal knees. Nobody's thinking like that. In the end, I didn't like the fact that they asked him. They asked Algerman, "Do you want to continue?" I hate that because you get all this crazy blowback from people who've never competed. And I understand fighters are also going to give him blowback, but that's because they have a common interest. They have something, they also want to be in that situation where they're in a title fight. All right, guys. Aljo did the smart thing. That's from Matthew Gonzalez. Everybody smart knew he faked it. That's from Jesus. People who say he faked it never been kneed in the face. I agree with you. But listen, I'm not crazy either, okay? I could tell you that it's very possible he faked it. Why not? Get your payday and get out of here. However, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying he did fake it. I think he got his. I think he got his bell rung. I think he did. Listen, it's a real knee. It was a good knee. I watched it. It was a good knee. But here's the thing: when you're not waiting for it, it's totally different. Totally agree. He doesn't deserve the belt after the performance, but the money is absolutely earned. That's from Bobby Orr. I agree with that because when you make them pay for their illegal knees, they won't do them no more. All of a sudden, they really care about the rules. You got to walk away with the money when you've been wronged. That's what makes things fair. Okay, you wronged me, but I got my payday and I'm going to come back. Now he should get a title shot again. He should be able to move on. But the thing is, the true champion at 135, who is it? That's the question. I don't think people are going to be saying it's Algerman Sterling because he didn't win the fight. You got to beat the champ. You got to beat that man. You got to become the champion by winning. He didn't look like he was winning. Now, what if the fight was in his favor? Like Algerman was winning all 4 rounds, let's say, and there was an illegal knee. None of this would be happening, right? Because we'd say, look, Algerman is better. He deserves the belt. But we didn't see that. We saw Jan, we say, if the rematch was next month, we'd all pick Jan to win. It just seemed like everything was in his favor. It's kind of sickening the way... It's kind of sickening way to win the belt. Sterling must have dreamed of it for years, but not like that. Never like that. That's from Lee the Flea. I agree with you. I'm sure he didn't want to win this way, but I think that his entourage, not his coaches, but I think his family members, like I saw a video like of his family members cheering him on. You're the world champion. They don't understand fighting. Like, fighters are not going to see him as the world champion. I think he should get a title shot. I think he's the number 1 contender because he didn't get his full shot. Because he could have, look, it's not impossible that he wins in round 4 or 5. He had to end the fight though to win, in my opinion. But he didn't get that chance. He still had a round and a half left to do it. Now, it's happened in the past. It was an unlikely thing to happen, but it can happen. He didn't get his fair shot. I need one of those moderator guys. Who wants to be the moderator? Just to keep everybody in check. Coach, do you agree that Jan won 4-1? That's from Kalim. Yes, I would agree. It was at least 4-1. And of course, 4th round wasn't over, but it was looking like it was going Jan's way. Remember when Connor... Hold on a second. Remember when Conor gave Khabib an illegal knee? That's from Azad. Yes, I do remember. He actually did a number of illegal things. If you watch that fight, Khabib versus McGregor, McGregor was holding the shorts, holding the fence, after being repeatedly told not to, knee Khabib illegally. What else did he was grabbing Khabib's shorts? Like, there was so many fouls. I don't understand. And I love Herb Dean. I don't understand why. I think that maybe I assume that Conor's just hard to control. Like, Conor was like, you know what? I don't care about the rules. What are you gonna do? You know, I think he's kind of like that. You know, like, ref, this is a fight. He's got his own rules in his head. I'm gonna take the rules to the gray area and I'm gonna do it, and you can't do nothing about it. I think that's a bit of his attitude when he's in there, because he's thinking, look, what are you gonna do? Disqualify me? The whole world's paying big bucks to see me fight. How dare you? You know, the whole world would be on. Imagine Herb Dean warned them, and then took a point away. The whole stadium would go crazy. They'd want his head. Why? There's so many McGregor fans in there. They're betting on him. They're drinking. They're here. They flew all the way here. They spent so much money. The Irish, you know, they're not going to allow this referee to take away a point. That's like, they're right away, they're going to interpret it as cheating, as being unfair. Because don't forget, from the stands, you don't see these little things. You know, you don't see the legal grab. You could see it if you're paying really close attention. But I think a lot of the fans, they're not maybe familiar with all the rules, and things are happening so fast, and maybe they're drinking and partying and kind of like watching the fight, but not like a microscope. You know, not putting the fight under a microscope. So what happens? They think this referee is just, you know, being annoying. And that's a good way to get yourself in trouble. So maybe there was that, but I would have been more stern vocally. I would have been like, hey, watch this, watch. I would have removed his hand from the shorts. I would have physically removed his hand from the fence. I would have, when McGregor threw that illegal knee, if he had stood up McGregor and give him a stern warning, could he get McGregor back down on the ground? I've seen fights. Listen, I've been in a corner once where my fighter was fighting with another guy, brought him down to the mat, beating the guy. And then, this is not a UFC fight, okay? A light bulb broke in the stadium. Listen to me. This is insane, okay? A light bulb burst. Glass falls into the cage. Think about this. Two guys wrestling on the ground with a referee standing up, so they get showered with glass. Like, this is light bulb glass. This is like sharp as sharp. So they're like, what happened? Stop the fight. Like, they stop the fight. These guys have no shoes. They're like, don't move, stand here. Like, they come up in the octagon. They come in the cage. They sweep up the cage. They sweep it up. They clean it up. We're like shocked, you know, like nobody was expecting a light bulb to blow up. And it wasn't no little light bulb. It was a big light bulb. Like, it was a light, you know, that shattered. I don't want to say it's a light bulb. It was one of those studio lights. Anyways, we had glass falling into the cage. What did they do? Okay, so the referee's about to start the fight, and I'm yelling, hey, whoa. The fight was on the ground. He was about to start them standing up. So I'm yelling at the top of my lungs. I'm like, whoa, ref. No, they were on the ground. Put them back in the same position. That's not the way you're supposed to restart a fight. Now, there's nothing in the rule book about a light bulb shattering. So what does the ref do? The ref's like, you know what? He's right. He tells the fighter, the opponent of the fighter I'm with, okay, get down on the ground. Let's get back to my fighter had him in Cyclical. And the fighter's like, no, I'm not gonna go. And the ref is like, get down. You have to get down on the ground. And the guy's like, no. The guy was a striker. The guy's refusing to obey the ref. So I told the ref, I'm like, take a point away from him. Take away. And the ref didn't want to take away from him. So they just started standing up. Like, sometimes the fighter can be intimidating to the ref. If I was the ref, I would have been, look, you got to get down right now. Side control bottom, or I take a point away on the cards. I can't physically take you and put you down. I can either disqualify you or take a point away on the cards. Now, I would take a point away. And I would consider disqualifying him if he breaks any other rule. I'll teach him that, you know, he has to obey the rules of the fight. And when you get these weird kind of situations in a fight, the referee has to do what makes sense. Like, there's nothing in the rule book about what to do in this situation. But it makes total sense to start them back on the ground. And the guy was like refusing to. And anyways, that was a crazy night, because I remember that fight. The guy I was training, he ended up winning. And that guy was a nutcase. Like, he came back in the locker room after he went to fight with us in the locker room. It was pure insanity. But the guy was not all, you know, the guy wasn't, he didn't care. Let's just say the guy he's not a rule follower. Let's just say that. Okay, guys, what else we have here? Salam, coach. Who's this? It skipped. My pardon. It skipped. Okay, I lost it. Sorry, guys. Islam versus Charles Oliveira. Who do you pick? That's from Quinn Baker. I would pick Islam Makhachev. I think he did an incredible performance against Drew Dober. His whole game was super strong, and I think him or Michael Chandler will be the future champion of that division. I really think those two are the biggest obstacles in that division. Okay, guys, what else we got here? Charles would submit Islam. That's from Samuel Fernandez. I don't know. I really don't think so. That'll be a very tough. It's not impossible. It'll be a very difficult thing. Okay, we got a super chat coming in now. I know I gotta. Coach, in one of your videos, you mentioned universal jiu-jitsu that should work in the street and sport BJJ. How do you develop this type of BJJ? That's from PTK. Well, I really believe that, like, why would you play like 20 years of like lapel guard? Think about this, or like turtle guard. Think about it. Man, oh yeah, when I roll, I just turtle up, and like guys try to break my turtle, and then I kind of like defend, and then I just defend till the bell rings. Like, for me that's a bit crazy. Why? Because imagine one day, you do 20 years of training, and then you get into a fight with a guy, or you just want to defend yourself. You did 20 years of martial arts, and you're fighting, and the guy smacks you across the head, and it's time to fight, and you don't know how to defend yourself. All you know how to do is pull the guard and wrap lapels, like, you're trying to do galaxy guard, worm guard, or I don't know what, but the guy's not wearing a gi. The guy's wearing a t-shirt, a flimsy t-shirt that if you grab onto it, it's going to tear, and he's going to want to beat you up even more because you ripped his t-shirt. That happened to me once, true story. A guy was trying to grab my shirt, ripped my shirt off. I was like really upset with him, and I had to hit him a little extra just because he was ripping my shirt. Like, anyways, another story for another day. You're trying lapel, and all of a sudden this guy's smacking you, hitting you. The guy's not really trained; he's just a tough guy. Maybe he's wrestled a bit in his career, in his youth, and maybe he boxed a little bit, amateur. Like just 6 months of boxing, but he could throw a punch better than you. And all of a sudden, that 20 years of martial arts, or 10 years of martial, it was useless. It was just totally what you turtled up. You were in a street fight, and you don't know how to do any takedowns. So the second it hits the floor, like maybe he tripped you like with a little Mickey Mouse trip, and you fell. And then what you're gonna do? You're gonna turtle up underneath him. He's just gonna start punching you behind the head. He doesn't care about the rules. He's not gonna try to take your back or choke you with a lapel. He's just gonna start punching you. So in my opinion, why on earth wouldn't you learn jiu-jitsu that will work in BJJ, IBJJF, gi, no gi, and also on the street? Because that type of jiu-jitsu exists. It's just a question of selecting what type of game you want to play. So me, I always train with real fighting in mind. Some things I'll do, like let's say for instance I'll do De La Riva. I don't think I would really do De La Riva in a fight, even though I do a little bit. I just use De La Riva as a pummeling situation to get to my grips. Okay, from here, let's say I start with De La Riva, and from De La Riva I switch to an Ashigarami. Okay, from here, this is where I would be in a fight, a real fight. Street, MMA, IBJJF. The rest was just pummeling. Okay, so there's pummeling, getting to MMA positions / IBJJF positions, universal jiu-jitsu. I'm fine with the pummeling, the transitioning, grip fighting. But not transitioning to a position that would get you killed on the streets. Oh, that's what I do, guys. Man, I'm a collar choke guy. So if you're in my guard, I just grab your collar and then I grab your sleeve, and this is how I play. It's like, dude, what if the guy doesn't have a collar? So for me, I base my game on MMA fighting, and then I'll grab the collar and sleeve as an extra. Okay, that can't be the core of my game. This is a branch of my game that I also play if the guy is wearing a gi or a thick jacket. I can use his collar and sleeve as a weapon. But that's an add-on. It's not the core of my game. The core of my game has to work on every dimension of fighting. Street, MMA, IBJJF, gi, no gi. It has to work everywhere. This is concept of universal jiu-jitsu. And that type of jiu-jitsu exists. You just got to know a lot about jiu-jitsu. Okay, you got to know a lot about it. And if you train with somebody who understands this, they could show you the core game that works in every platform. Okay, Chandler versus Gaethje. Is that happening? I don't think it is. But if that fight is happening, is the fight to make. Okay, Samuel Fernandez. Michael Chandler versus Gaethje is the fight to make. I agree with you. That would be an incredible fight. I can only imagine Khabib's team in street fights in Dagestan. Quinn Baker. Well, I bet you their game is going to work in a street fight. So, yes, that's why it works in UFC. Chandler shouldn't skip the line. That's from Samuel Fernandez. Nobody's talking about skipping the line. I think fighting Gaethje is... don't forget, he was Bellator champion. He's not skipping the line. We have a super chat. A generous 99 cents. Lelouch, thank you. Oh, it's not a super chat. It's a donation. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, what else we got here? Oliveira should fight first for the title. Yes, yeah, he should be up there, but I'd love to see him fight Islam Makhachev or Chandler. Best way to regain endurance between rounds. That's from Ivan. Ivan wants to know what is the best way to regain endurance between rounds. Look, there are no shortcuts. You got to be in great shape. Okay, so you got to do intervals. You got to do sparring for 3 minutes, 1 minute recovery. Sparring for 3 minutes, 1 minute recovery. Running for 2 minutes, 1 minute recovery. You got to practice recovering after exerting yourself for a few minutes and then having a 1 minute break. Slowly, your body will learn to recover in that 1 minute. Okay, so you got to do the work. You can't just learn some, not that I know of. Okay, to my knowledge, there's no secret breathing technique that can make me recover my air in between rounds if I'm out of shape. I have to be in shape, and a byproduct of that is I'll recover my air within that 1 minute. Coach, should I move to Puerto Rico with my Bitcoin money and train BJJ with Danaher? I have little grappling experience. Would I become a BJJ beast? That's from Anthony Bentel. Yes, you would be if you're a dedicated student. I guarantee you that in Puerto Rico, John Danaher and his team will show you the best jiu-jitsu in the world, okay? The most beautiful, efficient, amazing jiu-jitsu. Now, how good of a student are you? That's the only other question. How motivated are you? Should you go with your Bitcoin? Well, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin, gentlemen. So I would say yes. I would say hang on to your Bitcoin. Don't spend it. I have a feeling that we are still extremely early in Bitcoin. If you're asking my opinion, which is not, financial advice, but if you're asking me my opinion, how I see things, I think Bitcoin is still extremely early in the game. Extremely. Coach, can Khamzat fight with COVID? That's from Rashid. No, he cannot. Honor, don't pay the bills. I think you're referring to Algerman Sterling fight. Listen, guys, don't give him a hard time, okay? He went in there with the toughest bantamweight in the world. He took an illegal knee, okay? I'm happy he got paid. He got cheated out. If you see how hard it is to get to a title fight, yes, there's a round and a half left, and yes, he's losing, but he wants that. I'm sure he wants that round and a half. He wants to get a chance to win. So it was taken from him, and the consequences was that he gets paid. BTC to 100K. That's from Samuel. Samuel, I think 1 million. I think Bitcoin eventually gets to $1 million. If you're asking me my opinion, in the next 10 years, maybe even less than that, I think it's going to be at $1 million. It's going to cost $1 million of electricity to mine the last Bitcoins. It's going to cost such an amount. Nobody's going to mine it if it's not worth $1 million. I think it's going to be mined feverishly, and it's going to be worth $1 million. Should Izzy have bulked up? That's from James Chen. No, I don't think it would have made a difference. Do you still have long COVID symptoms? That's from Alex Karen. I personally don't feel any more COVID symptoms. I had COVID in December. I got the Rona. In my opinion, guys, just my opinion, don't flag me here. But it was nothing serious, okay? From what I read, 80% of people that have mild symptoms. Thankfully, I'm very grateful that I was among the 80%. I know some of you out there, unfortunately, are struggling with the consequences of getting COVID. Some people out there are very, very much suffering, and some people out there are dying from COVID. Okay, I'm not trying to deny COVID. I'm just telling you that me personally, it wasn't that bad. It was less than a flu. After 4 days, I was feeling very normal. Some people had it much less than me. I know of very few people that had it bad. Okay, but they had pre-existing condition and much older than me. I heard that Kamzat got it really, really bad. I'm very sorry to hear that, but in my experience, for me, it wasn't that bad. I know some people can die from it, okay? But I'm also, on the other flip side, extremely fed up with all the quarantining. Like, I'm thinking of opening up my gym and let the cops just come take me to jail. Like, I'm honestly, I'm saying this live now, and normally I don't talk this way, but I'm seriously considering just opening up the gym, doing distance training, whatever. Just open the gym. You know why? Because I get so many calls, people telling me of they're gaining weight, they're depressed, or this. They got to go get back to the gym. When's the gym going to reopen? I'm like, look, check the news. The day they say we could reopen, I'm reopening. And people keep sending me, like, Coach, you got to open the gym. You got to open the gym. We can't live this way. And I'm like, man, you know what? You're right. If I open the gym, though, they're going to come after me. Cops are going to start coming to my door. They're already coming to my door. My gym is closed. They're already coming to my door. My gym is closed. They're calling me. If I go to the gym to train my own personal self alone, they come, they knock on the door. Like, they're just all over me. I'm thinking, you know what? Just put me in jail already. I'm serious. Like, just, like, get it over with. I'm going to open the gym. Here's the gym. Let's send me to jail. Every gym owner. Let's all gym owners, all business owners, let's go to jail. Like, how long is it going to take? It's been almost 1 year. Like, we're rounded up a year now. What is it now? What's the date here? It's going to be a year and a week. Come on, man. It's supposed to be 2-week shutdown. Here we are 1 year later. So I'm really fed up, guys. I don't know what I'm going to do, okay? But I'm going to do something in this summer. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but this summer, I'm not going through another fall. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be something. I can't keep going like this. But to answer your question, I am past COVID right now, past the COVID symptoms. I don't have any more COVID symptoms at all. It's been a long time since I have COVID. Sanjay, thank you very much. Cover up the windows and use the back door. That's from Chris. No, believe me, they will follow me in. They'll make their way in the building. I promise you that. I wish I could, but I'm too watched. Okay, I'm too popular of a trainer. And I know some guys might have a smaller gym, and they can open the door and let a few people in. Not my gym. My gym, they're watching me. They're circling the block, and they're coming and knocking on my door. Believe me, they want to talk to me. They want to know if I'm working. You can start online classes. That's from Hussam. Well, Hussam, I'm filming instructionals. I'm posting them on jujiclub.com. That I can do, but that's not my problem. My problem is I can't train. I can't wrestle. I can't box. I got guys fighting. This is my problem. We're training in the park in the rain. Like, it's insanity. It's just total insanity. Why? Because this group of young men I'm training, they're not in danger of COVID. And I tell guys, like, if you're going to train, assume you have COVID. Don't go to grandma's house and, bake her a cake and give her a big kiss. Don't do that. She's in danger of COVID. She should be isolated. And I think that's what makes sense. If you're in the group that's in danger of dying from COVID or having serious complications, you should be isolated. Not the whole world, not the whole economy. Why should I be isolated? I'm immune to COVID right now. I had COVID in December. Why should I be isolated? Why should I sit home and gain 20, 30 pounds? Why should I have depression that I'm home all day and I can't train and my whole career is going down the drain and money is going down? Like, they just want you to sit home, take their check, and wait for us to deal with COVID while they open the mall. The schools are still open. Everything is still open except businesses, small businesses. The big businesses are open. Yes, their businesses are open. They're the government businesses and the big box guys, the guys who are lining their pockets, their businesses are open. Our businesses are closed. It's just insanity, man. It's just total insanity. It's a joke. At this point, guys, I'm telling you straight up. I know a lot of you, I'm going to get criticism for this, but I'm not impressed with what the Canadian government has done. I'm really unimpressed. All right, let's see. Got a super chat here. That's from Ezekiel. What in a fight meta is missing that you could be implemented in the next 5 years? What is the best exercise that improves fighters dramatically? That's a tough question. I think it's the line of training hard without getting injured. People don't understand that. People want to train hard and they have to take 2 weeks off. Why? Because they sprained their knee or whatever. I think it's how hard can you train? How intense can you train? How smart can you train without getting injured? There's like a balance, where your body won't get injured and you can keep training consistently. If you find that right balance, you'll get good really fast. Okay. Is this the same question twice? Oh no, here we go. This is from Ben. Hey coach, how did you find debating philosophy with Rogan? He didn't seem very receptive, but would love to see you try again. That's from Ben. Listen, I think we had a lot of miscommunication. I think it was a great podcast. I still get messages till this day about that podcast. It has, I don't know, it has a few million views. And I literally get messages on a regular basis about that podcast. People telling me that they loved it, that it changed their life. And I wasn't expecting this, you know. I studied philosophy for over 20 years. I have a bachelor's, but after my bachelor's, I continued to study philosophy. I got very, very deep into philosophy. I actually study philosophy every single day, believe it or not. Okay, it's part of my habits, my things that I do every day. So I feel that I got a lot of requests to talk about these things. I got a lot of requests for podcast. Like I get podcast requests all the time. Like I'm always getting messages. This person wants you to do their podcast. I don't even have time to do my own podcast. But I like to say yes to other people because I don't want to be one of those guys who doesn't make time for other people. But my schedule is so busy that I do my best. But I definitely want to be open to, getting on podcasts and being part of the community. But that podcast I think was really fun. I wasn't expecting I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I didn't know people were going to be talking about that podcast for years. I didn't think it was going to be that. I'm happy it did. I've done 2 podcasts with Rogan, and actually I messaged him the other day. I don't know if I still have his correct phone number. I didn't get a response, but usually he responds to me right away. But this time I think he's moved. I don't think I have his number anymore. But I would go on it again, definitely, and I would talk to him about absolutely anything he wants. Absolutely anything he wants, whether it's philosophy, training, everything, absolutely everything, but not. I didn't feel that, I think when we were talking, I don't think we were at odds. I think we're just kind of, trying to exchange ideas. I think he was very positive. Some people felt he was positive. Some people felt like, oh no, he wasn't happy with this or that. I didn't feel that way. I felt we were just talking, trying to exchange ideas, and it was good. After the podcast, we were cool. We did a second podcast, went really well as well. I like Joe a lot. I think he's a really interesting guy. He did have a very controversial person on his podcast recently, Ayan Hisri. This very anti-Muslim, anti-Islamic apologist, interlocutor, whatever you want to call her. I personally find she's extremely, extremely wrong in her position. I think her position is, she's trying to capitalize on 9/11. Let's be honest, if I defected from Islam and started writing anti-Muslim books, I'd make millions. Why? Because there's a market for it now. That's just the truth, okay? I would love Rogan to have somebody from the Islamic world, and I highly recommend he takes Muhammad Hijab, a guy with a lot of YouTube following, just to counter certain points, because the things she was saying were absurd, like completely absurd. Like, Islam went from being peaceful to violent all of a sudden because it was in their favor. This is completely bogus, and I won't get into the reasons why because it'll be very long, but she is completely 100% wrong. Guys, I have studied Christianity, Judaism, and Islam for 15 years. Okay, I know the history of these religions very well. I studied them in university. She is completely 100% wrong. She's writing books because this is her angle. I defected from Islam, and look, I'm writing anti-Muslim books, and now you have an ex-Muslim talking bad about Islam. It fits perfect with the 9/11 drama. And she's making money. I can guarantee you that because she's not an expert in Islam. She's not. And the things she says are dumb. They're absurd. And I would love Joe Rogan to have anybody, Muslim, to have her on the same episode with her. Let's have a friendly dialogue. Because I'll tell you why. Because this kind of rhetoric that she's spreading, how can I say? The Islamic community gets a lot of hate. I get some idiot. Today I'm going to get some idiot who's going to write me something about he hates me and this and that. We get so much friction. You might not feel it because you're not Muslim, but us Muslim people, like when we interact with the world after, we get a lot of blowback. Oh, that's like, dude, no, that's totally wrong. Totally wrong. She's not an expert in Islam or the Quran or anything like that. She's just somebody just ringing the alarm, trying to make money. That's how I see her. If I'm wrong, why don't we have them have a dialogue? Let's have a dialogue. Let's show the whole world. Let's bring out why do you say that? Let's hear her quote the Quran. Let's hear her quote the hadith. Let's hear it. But in front of an expert, let us cross-examine her. Let somebody who's an expert cross-examine her. Maybe she's totally right. She could defend herself. Bring on Sam Harris. Bring on any guy, Peterson, any guy you want. I will personally fly a Muslim interlocutor on the Rogan show. I will personally fly the guy. I'll pay. I'll cover it. Just stop this hateful rhetoric. It's so disgusting. Like, I can do the same thing that she does with Islam. I could do the same thing with Christianity. I could do the same thing with the Quran. I could do the same thing with the founding fathers. I could do the same thing with any group. Give me any group. I could do the same thing. She is totally off key. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just this crazy guy on the internet and I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, let's do it. Let's have a dialogue. That's my challenge to the world. Anybody, there's no name we'll say no to. I'll bring you a guy who'll sit down and have a discussion, and let's bring our sources. I can name so many people who would be good for the job. Even non-Muslims, PhDs in Islam that are non-Muslim, who call them Orientalists. I can get in contact with one or two, and I'll bring them. And I guarantee you they'll put her in her place. Her position is one that is fabricated. I can do the same thing with any book. Give me any holy book. I could do the same exact thing. I guarantee you 100%. And I'm not even a scholar in these religions. Okay. So that being said, I think that Joe Rogan show needs a bit of balance because he has so many anti-Muslim guys. He has so many. And I love Joe. I don't think Joe is anti-Muslim. I don't know what is in his head, but that's just one topic that I would love for him to give some balance to. Because it leads to, my opinion, shootings. It leads to hate. It leads to so much. These people, when they talk, I don't think they realize how much damage they do. You know, this is the kind of stuff that they did in Nazi Germany. This is the truth. It started small. It started with, oh, they're like this. Oh, they're like that. Oh, they believe this. Oh, they believe that. And then it escalated. And I can tell you something. Look, as a Muslim, from 9/11 till today, I've seen a major difference. There's a lot more friction in the West with Islam. Okay, I don't want to get political with what's happened in the last 21 years, but it's still something very important to discuss. And experts should be talking about it, not some layman who's ringing a bell, blowing a horn, and saying ridiculous things. You know, she's honestly saying ridiculous things. She didn't bring up the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. She didn't bring up the conquest of Mecca. These things would demolish just these two. The reason why I bring these two things up is these are historical events that happened after the period she was talking about, after. That are bedrock, meaning even the non-Muslims, we agree. Muslims and non-Muslims will all agree that this is how it happened. These historical events happened in this particular way. And Islam had the upper hand and there was no violence. She doesn't talk about Umar bin Khattab when he conquered Jerusalem, how he brought the Jews back to Jerusalem after 500 years. Like, there's so many points that I would love for her to explain. Okay, if this is the case, if Islam is this bloodthirsty religion out for conquest, why are these events happening in this way? I would love to cross-examine her, and I'm just a layman. I only have like this is not what I study. It's not my expertise. A guy with expertise would just demolish her. He's just like, her rhetoric is weak, daif, pathetic. It's just playing on people's ignorance. That's what I have to say about that. Next question. Okay, what else we got here? They're going to say you're an indoctrinated Arab plus any other swears you can think of. That's from Dalhead. No, I don't think so. I think Joe's a very open guy. I love Joe Rogan because I feel that he's a very open-minded guy who would be a fair judge. He would sit there and listen to both sides. And it's for people to judge, but have a second voice, because when you're attacking somebody or something that doesn't have any way to show a counter argument, you might be surprised by the counter arguments. You might be shocked by the counter arguments. There's a lot to know. Let's just say, okay, there's a lot to know. Here we go. What else we got here? Have you studied Eastern philosophies like Buddhism or Taoism? What's the most essential difference between these and Western religious philosophies? That's from Itowel Close. No, unfortunately, I haven't gone to Eastern philosophies as much. Western philosophies are, I mostly studied Middle Eastern, so Islamic philosophy, Greek philosophy, and British empiricism. These three alone have kept me occupied for the last 20 years. They're an ocean of knowledge. And I'm very open to Eastern philosophies. I want to learn them. And I'm sure I'm going to spend a good 10 years in Eastern philosophies. But I've done very little. I'm ashamed to say that I've done very little. But the only reason why is the constraint. Now, in Eastern philosophies, you get a lot more. They're not as based on sound, rational premises. Okay, so it's more of they're more religious, I would say. So, for instance, if you have Buddhism is based on certain Four Noble Truths. Now, I'm not an expert in Four Noble Truths, but I'm going to talk to you about how I understand them. Okay, so the first noble truth is, if I remember correctly, and I haven't done this in a while, but it was life is suffering. Inherently we are suffering. To feel pleasure, you first have to go through a patch of suffering. All pleasure is a type of relief of suffering, and I consider this to be true. And the second noble truth is the ego. So it's in reference to the ego, that the reason why you're suffering is because you have this belief in the ego. But if you gave that to a Western philosopher, the Western philosopher would ask you, how could you because in Buddhism they say the ego is an illusion. So the Western philosopher would cross-examine you, and he'd use more a logical, he'd want you to iron it out logically. Now, I'm sure in Eastern philosophers, they have syllogisms and all that, but from what I'm aware of, from my limited knowledge, syllogisms comes from Aristotle. I've never come across anybody telling me in Eastern philosophy, the originator of syllogisms, logical arguments, was formulated and structured by this individual. I haven't read anybody claiming that as of yet. I hope that I would do, but basically they're giving out premises, but they're not organized in the Western sense, where in the Western sense they have to be organized in a particular way for them to be logical. So the fact that he says, in the second noble truth, he says the ego is an illusion. That's why you're suffering, because you have these wants, and these wants are wanted by this ego, but this ego is an illusion. Now, I don't know if you follow, but there could be some, like, Westerners would definitely raise problems. How could something illusionary want something? That's one thing. And what are the premises of knowing that the ego is an illusion? Now, listen, I also believe the ego is an illusion. This is strange. I know it's going to almost take me in a circle here. But I think we mean different things when we say that. So anyways, I don't want to get into noble truths because I'm definitely not an expert in that. But the world is suffering, and you have to drop the ego. You have to stop your wants. You have to stop your wants. I like my wants. I want to keep them. I don't want to become an aesthetic preacher. Like, for instance, we have in Western philosophy, we have Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer believed in the Eastern traditions. Like, he really, from all the Western philosophers, he's the one who pushed Eastern traditions. Like, he really said, look, they got it right. And Schopenhauer is a very interesting individual, extremely interesting thinker. But in the end, did he live an aesthetic life? Did he refrain from pleasures? No. If you guys read his biography, he was all into the pleasures. Okay, drinking, eating, women, everything. Like, he preached one thing, but he did another. So that tells me, in his heart of hearts, he liked his wants just like we do. And I look forward to learning more about the Eastern arts. But as of yet, I find that the Western philosophies are more pragmatic. They're far more pragmatic. Buddhism is the deep and has mainly similarities with Sufism, mysticism, and can be thought of as different paths up the same mountain. That's from Jackie. Listen, in Sufism also, you drop the ego, but the ego is not illusionary. In Sufism, the ego is not illusionary. It's subjective, meaning we don't know if it's not out there, independent of the mind. So that's why I'm not sure exactly how the Buddha meant it, but I can speak for Sufism. I'm very well versed in Sufism. The mind is subjective. The ego is subjective. There's only one thing that is objective outside the mind. There's only one thing. There's nothing else, and that's God. In Sufism, there's only one thing that's totally objective. if you give me any other thing that you believe is objective, that a triangle has three sides, anything, any analytical statement, if you deconstruct it, you will find that it is ultimately subjective on the human mind. If those of you are familiar with the egocentric predicament, you understand what I mean. For those of you who are not, it's too long for me to explain. The point being is that everything is mind dependent save one thing. That one thing always existed and will always exist, and there's only one of it, and it'll never change. And when your mind dies or whatnot, it's independent of your mind. There's only one thing such as this. So this is the core. Okay, this is like the core. So once you see everything as subjective, not necessarily illusionary, it's subjective, it's dependent on this one thing that's independent, that's always been. So if I were to tell you, has there always been existence? You'd be like, yeah. So there was existence before everything. Yeah. And when everything is destroyed and gone and dissolved, because in Buddhism also they say everything's going to dissolve. The world is like a smoke, if I can use that term. Everything is vapor. It's all eventually going to crumble. And even when everything is destroyed, crumbled, there's still going to be this thing that existed, this existence. It's always there. It was there before, it was there after, and there's one of it. Yes. Okay. Everything that happened within that one thing, logically speaking, is hence subjective. It's dependent. It's synthetic. It could have been otherwise. Like Leibniz said, look, existence that we have, like the world didn't have to exist. It's contingent. But there is one thing that has to have always existed. Parmenides, from Parmenides to Leibniz, we have the same one thing. And that's why the only group that has a unanimous agreement, the only group ever, philosophers definitely don't agree, mathematicians don't agree. There are some mathematicians that believe that there's no infinity. There's a number you can't get any higher. Like, I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds totally insane. But there's a number, some PhDs, some philosophers, some mathematicians, they believe that there's a number you can't go higher. You cannot add one. That's the maximum amount. That's the highest number you can have. What number is it? You ask them. I've seen documentaries on this, and I've read comments throughout the years, and they say, we don't know what that number is, because there's some of them that hold this belief. We don't know what that number is, but there's got to be a number like that. And when you ask them why, they say because the alternative is impossible. I'm not a mathematician, okay? I'm not like a PhD in mathematics, but the philosophers of mathematics, they say this. There's two camps. One camp that believes there's infinite, numbers can be infinite, and there's one camp, a smaller camp, that believe, no, that's impossible. There cannot be a truly infinite amount of numbers. It cannot. Why? Because there seems to be an inherent contradiction. Both of them lead to an impossibility. Leibniz is saying that everything that's contingent, I might have lost you guys now, needs an explanation, except this one thing. So in mysticism, they have a unanimous agreement. They're the only group that unanimously agrees. Every other group always has a difference of opinion. There's only one group that has unanimity, and that there's a oneness. Okay, this oneness is unanimous. Only in a select group, the mystics. That's it. And it's very interesting, but it would take a long episode to explain. Very long. What else we got here? Michael Page versus Israel Adesanya, striking differences in your opinion. That's from HD. Listen, I'd pick Adesanya because I feel like he's been through the fire more. If you watch Michael Venom Page's career, he's fought some great fights, but he's only ever fought, I think, one elite fighter, and in Douglas Lima. He did well in round one. It was close, round one. I gave it to Douglas, but it was close. And round two, he got knocked out. Okay, so I feel that Adesanya's fought way better competition. What's the biggest name after Douglas Lima that Venom Page has fought? Venom Page is a great fighter, but he hasn't been in that competition. He fought Paul Daly, and he beat Paul Daly by a hair. Like, it was a very close fight. I even felt I could have went to Paul Daly's way. It was a very, very close fight. Watch that fight for those who haven't seen it. And Paul Daly's been beat by many fighters. He's a great fighter. He's a staple MMA fighter. He's the guy's he's a star. He's a great fighter, but he's been beat. And Venom Page barely beat him. if you could say he beat him, it could have been a draw. I would have been very happy with a draw. So how do you make that jump that Michael Venom Page has never beat a world-class top 5 fighter? He's not that I can't remember one world-class top fighter that he's beat. So how could you say he's better than Adesanya? Adesanya has beat multiple top world-class fighters, ex-champions, etc., world champions, etc. So I wouldn't put them in the same boat. I got a super chat here. This is from Brandon. Does Plato's cyclical argument prove reincarnation? No, it does not. The cyclical argument is not about reincarnation. But this would be a long topic. His cyclical argument is not one of reincarnation. Canelo's team welcomed Conor for training after his last loss. Think he should consider boxing? That's from my 45s. I don't think so. I think he has to go back to his kickboxing style, his karate style, his taekwondo style, his martial arts style, long distance fighting. I think that's what it did best for him. I think boxing is good at a certain amount, but he got too heavy in the boxing. Way he fought Poirier the second time, I thought it was too heavy boxing oriented, too much. I think he has to go back to the traditional style, traditional martial arts style, and use boxing to complement that, not as boxing as the core. Did I miss a super chat? Oh, I missed. Okay, it was the same super chat. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. How long have we been on this now? 1 hour, 15 minutes. All right, guys. Schopenhauer was a Hegel fanboy. That's from Tyler. No, actually, he was not. I quite hated Hegel. Coach, you missed both my super chats. That's from Hassan. Did I? My apologies, Hassan. Hassoun. I'm going to call you Hassoun. Just write it in the text. I'm going to read your messages now if you're still here. Or did I do it? Hassoun. Mr. Hassoun, please put your... just type it. Don't super chat me again. I'm looking for your name. No, don't wrap it up. Well, I have to, my friend. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. Another super chat popped in. Hello, Coach. What do you suggest for a beginner who wants to get into martial arts, judo or jiu-jitsu? Personally, I would do jiu-jitsu with wrestling. Okay, so I would try jiu-jitsu with wrestling. Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao slap. That's from Ariel. Ariel, I saw the slap. For those of you who didn't see the slap, it wasn't pretty. From what I understand, both men, Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao, were cornering two grapplers who were rolling, competing against one another. And at the end of the match, both sides shake hands as usual. And from what I understand, I didn't see that part myself. Andre Galvao flipped Gordon Ryan off. Didn't want to shake hands with Gordon Ryan. Now, why? I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I've heard that they text back and forth. Not text, excuse me. They social media each other back and forth, whatever you want to call it, publicly and not publicly. I don't know what it is, but there was a beef before, and he flipped him off in front of everybody. And then in the back room, there's a video of Gordon Ryan slapping Galvao. Now, when he slapped Galvao didn't respond. He just kind of like talked and like kind of just was being verbal. Hey, what's your problem? And then Gordon Ryan slapped him again. Now, Gordon Ryan, for certain, was instigating a fight. Like, let's fight. And let's make this fight unavoidable. If I slap you, you have to fight me. Little did he know that Galvao took the slap and didn't fight him. Now, I wasn't a slap like I just touched your chin. No, he slapped him. Like I'm telling you, full power slap. And I'm shocked that Galvao didn't fight, man. He's an ex-professional MMA fighter. That's what we're talking about, like universal jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't care if you're the biggest jiu-jitsu stud in the world. But if somebody slaps you and you do nothing about it, man, I'm telling you, you got to question your training. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, guys, I recommend you do once a month, do MMA sparring. Just go like, hey, join an MMA team. Hey guys, I'm not an MMA guy, but I just want to kind of like be an extra training partner for you guys and hit the bag once a week, maybe. But just have some MMA. For God's sakes, man, have some MMA. Be able to defend yourself a little bit. Because some guy comes up to you and slaps you. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Yes, Galvao flipped him off, but Gordon could have just cursed him out. He didn't have to slap him. When somebody slaps you like this, in my opinion, guys, in my opinion, if all things being normal, like, I don't know, maybe if you ran over a guy's dog and killed it by accident and the guy slaps you, like, maybe you let that one go. Okay, maybe that's a good time. Turn the other cheek and like, look, I killed his dog accidentally. It wasn't on purpose, but I can understand he's so upset with me that he's losing it and he slapped me and I feel bad that I killed his dog. Okay, maybe that guy won't punch him. Or maybe it's a senile old man. Maybe the guy's 99 years old and he slaps you. Okay, then don't do anything about it. Maybe it's a woman and she slaps you. I know this is going to be very controversial, but don't do anything about it. Let's just let it be. Okay, I understand. There are exceptions, yes. But if a man in your age group slaps you, do me a favor, slap him back. Do me a favor, fight back. For goodness sake, you must fight back. You have no choice but to fight back. Even if you're going to lose. Even if you're going to lose. Why? Because nobody should accept that kind of disrespect. And Gordon Ryan slapped him because Gordon Ryan was angry and he wants to fight. I can guarantee you this. Okay, I'm not in the man's head. But you don't slap a guy like that and not expect to fight. I'm sure he was expecting the hands come up and we're going to fight. But Galvao didn't fight. And I know Galvao now must be regretting it because the consequences of not having defended yourself. Look, if I'm in a fight, if somebody slaps me and he's holding a baby, I'm not going to hit him because he's holding a baby. There's got to be some crazy circumstance why you don't hit the guy back. There's got to be some crazy, but there wasn't. I can't imagine one. There were two grown men there and one guy hits another. It's go time, guys. It's go time. Like, you got to fight. Put up your dukes, fight. Whatever happens, happens. But I have more respect for you that you fought and defended yourself. At least you defended yourself. You didn't just let the guy slap you and then slap you again and do nothing about it. Guys, I have a major respect for all these guys who compete and fight, and I have respect for Galvao, Gordon Ryan. I respect both of them as athletes, competitors, etc. But I feel that Galvao let himself down. Like, I didn't break my heart, but it must let him down. To be training for so many years and get hit and look like you're defenseless. Like, this is absurd, unacceptable. Like, listen, if I got slapped like that and Gordon's a much bigger, heavier guy than me, listen, we're fighting. Like, there's just no two ways about it. Like, we are fighting. And if you beat me up, man, beat me up. But at least I stood my ground and I have the guts to defend myself. And maybe today you beat me up, but try it again. Maybe tomorrow, man, you lose an eye because you hit me. Maybe you lose it's going to hurt. I'm going to be too much trouble for you to do this to me. And that's how you deal with altercations like that. Okay? It wasn't a life and death situation. He wasn't surrounded by 20 people from Gordon's gang. Like, it didn't seem like, it seemed like it would have been a fair fight. It probably would have been broken up pretty quickly. The man should have defended himself. I don't know what you guys think, but 99% of the time, unless the guy's really old or it's a girl or it's like the guy's holding a baby, that's the only reason why I didn't hit him back. Faraz the hooligan. Thank you, Jay Holt. Thank you. You're spinning it beautifully. Listen, you got to defend yourself, guys. It's a question of honor. I know this generation behind me I know you guys are not big on the respect and honor maybe so much. Maybe our generation, but don't tell me you have nothing. Don't tell me you have zero. The guy slaps you and you're just like, oh, it's okay. No, impossible. This is insanity. Umar, I've answered that question. Play back the video or else I'm going to have to put you in a timeout. You're asking the same question over and over again. I've answered it, brother. I've answered it already. MI asks, Coach, what if the baby that he was holding was Adolf Hitler? So if Gordon Ryan was holding baby Hitler and Gordon Ryan smacks you, what do you do? That's a good question. You see, it's a very, very good question. Very difficult question to answer. You see, you got me in a loop now. I can't. It's one of the few. There's so few questions I don't like. I don't like at least give some partial answer. This one, you stop me, man. If Gordon Ryan is holding baby Hitler and smacks you, well, I really want to hit him back because he smacked me, but he's holding a baby. But that baby's Hitler, though. Does it matter if you hit baby Hitler by accident? I mean, it's a tough one. Tough one, guys. Hi, Coach. Why MMA fighters use circuit training? Is it useful? That's from AL. AL, I think it is useful. I think depends what you need. But in general, for most people, it will be useful. So I would agree. I think it's okay. Even though GSP will tell you the opposite. I've seen a lot of guys have good success with circuit training. Coach, I sent 2 super chats already. Where the hell are they? Hold on. Let me try to find, what's his name here? Mike Rivers. Mike Rivers is a man who sent 2 super chats on this channel, spending his hard-earned money, and the coach dropped it. How did the coach miss? I don't know. Okay, where do they put these things? Where's the super chat? Analytics, viewer activity, stream health, merchandise. Where the hell is super chat? They used to have it listed. Okay, I gotta scroll now. Where is the super chat? I'm looking for Mike's super chat. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I can't find it. I'm scrolling here. Galvao has like 20 MMA fights. You're right. I don't know if he has 20, but he has like a lot of MMA fights. He fought Tyron Woodley, for goodness sake. Like, he's got to be able to defend himself. The Wolf, I can't answer you that question. I don't know when TriStar Gym is going to open again. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to probably blow the doors open, and I don't know what the hours will be like with the curfew and all that. It will definitely be closing before curfew. Okay, what else we got here? What jobs can you get with a degree in philosophy? That's from Hayden Spires. Hayden Spires is asking me, what kind of job can you get with a degree in philosophy? Well, let me tell you this. There's a lot of writing jokes. One of them that I like very much is you can have very deep thoughts about being unemployed, which is a good answer to that reply. No, honestly, I was planning to going into law. So I was going to get a philosophy degree because you learn I had a passion for philosophy. What can I do with it? I was going to pass the bar exam. I was going to study to become a lawyer. I did take a few courses in law in college. I thought it was interesting. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Give me one last nice one here, and then we'll knock it out of the park and call it a day. We have a super chat here. Maximud Sisfaroul. Coach, can you break down Islam Makhachev's transition to armbar and shoulder pressure finish? That was like a Von Flue. Okay, so when you have a Von Flue, normally you finish it from side control. He was in half guard. It was not an arm triangle per se. It's similar to arm triangle, but generally, if you imagine Dober's arm was in a guillotine and Islam was in side control, it would be the Von Flue. Look up Von Flue. But he just did it at an angle. You can do it at an angle. It's a little bit difficult to do, but it can be done. And it is a legitimate choke. A lot of people think it's not. It's actually a legitimate choke. You can put a guy out like that. Absolutely. Coach, my third super chat. Coach, what's the 80-20 of wrestling? That's from Mike Rivers. Mike, thank you. Sorry about missing your super chats. CTE, my brother. Trying to deal with it. What is the 80-20 of wrestling? Coach, what is the 80-20 of wrestling and clinching? The 80-20, I would say master the underhook and overhook. Overhook is more defensive. Master the underhook. If you're talking about clinching, it's all, in my opinion, it's all about the underhook. It all starts with the underhook. From the underhook, you can get to a body lock, single leg, double leg, snap down, guillotine, back take, shuck. It's all about that underhook, man. I'm a big believer in underhooking. Omar Sheikh, may Allah cause the gym in Montreal, especially TriStar, to reopen. Ameen. Omar, God bless you, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that dua. Thank you very much. You're the man. Very, very appreciated. What style of BJJ is the best? I will go no gi. What style of BJJ is the best for MMA? You're asking. Excuse me, for MMA. I would go no gi and mix it with wrestling right off the bat. Learn BJJ and learn wrestling at the same time. Like, they're two very important. If you're tough enough to take the wrestling, a lot of guys don't like the wrestling because it's tough. Okay, guys. What's the most effective vaccine? Moderna or Pfizer? I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. Sue the Canadian government. I'm thinking about it. Believe me, I'm thinking about it. When is the reaction video? That's something so around. I promised to make a reaction video of Sam Harris and Peterson. Should be soon, guys. I got to sit down and listen to it again and do it. I just got to buckle down and do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it live or if I'll pre-record it, but I promise you guys, I will do it. Can you talk about epistemology and limits of truth? That's from Adrian. That's a very good question, but not now because I'm wrapping this up and that would take too long. Save that question for a future podcast where I can kind of talk about it for 10-15 minutes. Congrats on Ayman's win, Coach Mabruk. Thank you, Azmi. Shukran. Thank you very, very much. Bilal versus Leon. Guys, I'm a big Bilal Muhammad fan. He's a friend. He's trained with me at TriStar once upon a time. He's a great guy. I've been watching him since his Titan fights before he was in UFC. He's an incredible fighter. He's like the Rocky of MMA. You know, he's one of those guys he's like one of the Rockies of MMA. He's incredible. I love the guy. I love watching him fight. He never has a boring fight. He's in there to win it. And the Leon fight will be his biggest challenge. So I look forward to seeing that. He's taking it a bit on a short notice. I'm supposed to be on his podcast after the fight, so I'm sure we'll do that. And I'm sure we'll have fun talking about his performance against Leon, whatever it may be. But I wish him the best, and I hope that he wins. Wrap it up, Coach. That's from Benjamin. Yeah, I've been trying to wrap it up for a bit. I'm trying to hit it on a good note here. You know, I'm trying to hit it on a good note, but I'm striking out. Thank you, Azmi. Shukran. Okay, we got here. Coach, what's the best style of average size man, grappling or striking? Mike Rivers. Oh, no, we got also another super chat competing with Mike Rivers. Mike, I answered one of your questions. Is that another Mike? Coach, I sent you a question about anxiety a few months ago. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing so much better. Thank you for your advice. Jazakallahu khair. Well, I'm happy to hear that, Muhammad Siriani. Shout out to you. I'm happy your anxiety is in control. Good job. Keep it up. And inshallah, they'll keep getting better. Okay, Mike Rivers. Coach, what is the best style for an average sized man? Grappling or striking? Question mark. Mike Rivers. Listen, I used to think there's no difference for a small guy's jiu-jitsu versus a big guy. I used to think, no, it's just jiu-jitsu is all based on efficiency. But actually, I've come to reconsider that position. There are things now that I've realized that I don't do against bigger guys, and some things that I do also on bigger guys. Like, for instance, I don't try to darce bigger fighters. I don't try to anaconda bigger fighters. Then I think about it. Well, if you don't do it on a bigger fighter, why do you do it on a smaller fighter? Because I think that the smaller fighter just gives me more weapons against him. You know, I remember training with Marcelo Garcia, and he's like, look, if it doesn't work on every size guy, I don't use it. And I was thinking about, you know what? Later on, I thought he was right, but then later on, I thought about it again, and I thought, you know what? If I didn't have that darce, I wouldn't have tapped that guy who was my size. You know, it would have took me maybe a lot longer. Why not use more weapons and just know the pros and cons of every weapon? So darce, in my opinion, doesn't work against bigger, stronger guys as well, unless they're really untrained or something. But let's say a trained, bigger, stronger individual, I don't use darce. I just never get it to work. I don't use kimura. I can't get the arm behind the guy's back. You know, I use kimura as a grip. I start using more of Marcelo's submissions, plus leg locks. I think leg locks work on bigger guys even more often than they do on little guys. So I do approach it differently now. As I'm getting, more experience in martial arts, I have started to approach it more differently. I like to leg lock bigger guys. When I fight a bigger guy who's got 20, 30 pounds on me, I don't know why, but leg locks work, man. Leg locks make them scared as hell. So I would say like the John Danaher leg lock system is great against bigger, stronger guys, wrestler guys. I think it's just their nightmare. And along with putting away the arm chokes like the katakatamis, the darces, the anacondas, in my opinion, if you got a freakish squeeze, it can work on a bigger guy, but I'm not one of those guys who got that crazy squeeze, so I just don't try it on bigger, stronger guys. I do it more on guys my size. And the reason why I do that is because it gives me more options to finish a guy my size. Pick Ngannou or Stipe? That's a good question. Maximud, I would say Stipe. But Ngannou could put your lights out in one shot. So listen, I think Stipe. But would it surprise me if Ngannou? No, it would not surprise me. Okay, guys. Thank you for always tuning in, liking, and sharing. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please like, share, and comment, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you very much.